Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're the place you come to. Really get under the surface of big ideas fast.
Giving you that shortcut to being genuinely informed.
Exactly. And today, we're tackling something I think everyone wonders about at some point. Why do some people achieve just, well, extraordinary things? Things that seem way beyond maybe their initial talent or even their IQ scores.
Ooh, it's a fantastic question, isn't it? Because, it pushes back against that old idea that success is just about what you're born with.
Right.
And the sources we're looking at today, they show there's so much more going on. And crucially, a lot of it is stuff you can actually control.
That's what gets me excited about this deep dive. We've got some, frankly, eye-opening research here. It challenges those traditional views of success. We're diving deep into the motivational side, the psychology behind high achievement.
Yeah.
So our mission today, let's unpack these insights. We want to give you a clear path to understanding why just being smart isn't the only thing that predicts success.
And maybe more importantly,
Yes, how you can tap into these really powerful internal drivers, how you can achieve your own long-term goals.
it's about showing that success isn't just what you have, talent-wise. It's how you think, and maybe more critically, how you act. Consistently, over time.
It really is striking how this research pinpoints these underlying reasons for why some people just keep going and succeed.
Yeah, and it highlights these internal psychological states that, they aren't fixed. You can actively work on them, strengthen them.
Okay, so if talent isn't the whole picture, what is? Let's start with the first big surprise, maybe. Something called grit.
Ah, yes. Grit.
Now, people might have heard the term, but researchers like Angela Duckworth, they've really put a scientific framework around it.
They define it pretty clearly. Perseverance and passion for long-term goals.
And what's really wild is that in studies looking at everything from grades and college success to sticking out in the military, even kids in competitive spelling bees, grit explains a pretty significant chunk of success.
Right, around 4% in some of those studies, which might not sound huge, but it's predicting success beyond what IQ tells us.
So what's the big takeaway here? Intelligence matters, obviously, but it's not the only factor.
Maybe the most surprising thing about grit, though, is that it doesn't really correlate positively with IQ.
Wait, really?
Yeah, some studies even show a slight negative correlation. It suggests that sometimes people who might feel they're, less bright than their peers, they actually compensate by working harder with more determination. They build up that grit.
Wow, that really turns things on their head. And it's not totally new, is it? I remember reading about William James, the philosopher, back in 1907. He observed that most people only use a tiny bit of their potential, but the real high achievers, they push their resources to the absolute limit.
And Galton, Sir Francis Galton, who studied intelligence, he concluded high achievers were sort of triply blessed.
Meaning?
Ability, yes, but combined with zeal and the capacity for hard labor.
Zeal and capacity for hard labor. That sounds an awful lot like grit, doesn't it?
It really does. Which brings up a good point. How is grit different from just being, say, conscientious? People know that trait.
Good question.
Well, there's overlap, for sure. But grit specifically emphasizes that long-term stamina and having really consistent goals and interests over years, not just months.
So it's not just about short-term intensity or self-control, like getting your work done today.
Exactly. Think of it like this. Someone high in self-control might be great at managing their day-to-day. But if they lack grit, the source says they might still switch careers annually.
Okay. So grit is about that unwavering long-haul commitment to something specific and difficult.
Precisely. And it's different from, say, McClellan's need for achievement, too. That's more about mastering tasks where you get quick feedback.
Right.
Grit is about sticking with those really, really long-term goals, even when you're not getting constant positive reinforcement. Maybe the finish line isn't even in sight.
That's a different kind of mental toughness.
Absolutely. And the real-world impact is clear. Take West Point Military Academy.
Right.
Their first summer, Beast Barracks. It's designed to push cadets to their absolute limits, physically, emotionally, mentally.
I've heard it's brutal.
It is. And despite West Point having incredibly high admission standards already, guess what predicted whether cadets made it through that first summer better than self-control or even their overall admission score?
Let me guess. Grit.
You got it. Grit. It showed that when things get incredibly tough, that deep, long-term perseverance is what really pulls you through.
Wow. And it's not just the military. You mentioned spelling bees.
Yeah, the National Spelling Bee. Grittier kids went further in the competition,
Why?
partly because they just studied more, longer hours, and they tended to have more experience from competing in previous years. They just kept at it.
So it really boils down to this equation. Achievement equals talent times effort.
Exactly. And grit is like the multiplier on that effort part.
Yep.
It represents the duration, the consistency, the unwavering direction of that effort.
It reminds me of the tortoise and the hare, but maybe the tortoise is also really talented, just way more persistent.
That's a good way to put it. The source uses a piano analogy. Two equally talented kids.
Okay.
One practices intensely, a real prodigy, but then jumps to the saxophone, then singing. The other is just as gifted, but grittier. Sticks with piano for years, pushing through plateaus.
The grittier one likely surpasses the hopper.
That's what the research suggests. So the empowering insight for you listening right now, your innate abilities are just one piece, your sustained focus, your determination. That's a massive part of the equation. And it's something you have a lot more control over.
Effort can really trump talent. That's powerful.
And that idea leads us perfectly into the next section, the mindset revolution. How your core beliefs about yourself literally shape your reality. This is Carol Dweck's groundbreaking work.
Right, the two mindsets, let's break them down. First, the fixed mindset.
This is the belief that your intelligence, your abilities, they're just fixed, set in stone. You have a certain amount and that's it.
And people with this mindset, they tend to worry a lot about proving how smart they are, right?
Exactly. So challenges, setbacks, they feel like threats. They expose your perceived lack of ability.
Which leads to, as the source says, destructive thoughts, feeling humiliated, maybe just giving up.
It sounds exhausting, constantly feeling like you're being judged.
Definitely. But then there's the alternative, the growth mindset.
This is the belief that intelligence, abilities, they're malleable. You can grow them, develop them through effort, learning, persistence.
So challenges aren't threats anymore.
No, they're seen as an opportunity to learn. It fosters constructive thoughts, maybe even excitement about tackling something hard, and crucially, persistence. Keep trying.
It fundamentally changes how you approach difficulty.
It really does. And what's fascinating is how these mindsets get formed. Dweck's 1998 study with fifth graders is just wow.
Tell us about it.
Okay, so kids do a task, and then they get praise. Group 1 gets praise for intelligence. Wow, you must be smart at this.
Seems harmless enough.
You'd think. But it actually pushed those kids towards a fixed mindset. Afterwards, they tended to avoid choosing harder problems. They enjoyed the tasks less. And get this, after they experienced a setback, their performance dropped.
Just from being told they were smart.
Yeah. Now, compare that to the other group. They were praised for effort or strategy. Wow, you must have worked really hard.
Okay, what happened there?
Totally different outcome.
Yeah.
Those kids leaned into a growth mindset. They were more likely to choose the harder problems next. They believed they could improve. And after a setback, their performance actually increased. They bounced back stronger.
That is incredible. The way we praise effort versus innate ability makes such a difference.
It's profound. And it's not just psychological. Brain science backs it up.
How
Studies
so?
showed different brain activity. After making a mistake, students with a growth mindset show more activity in brain regions linked to deep semantic processing, meaning their brains are working harder to understand why they made the mistake, to learn from it, not just react emotionally. And that deeper processing predicts better performance down the line.
And this isn't just a short-term effect.
Not at all. Longitudinal research tracking students over time shows those with a growth mindset show continuous improvement, like in math grades over 2 years. The fixed mindset kids, not so much.
Why the difference?
Because the growth mindset kids valued learning over looking smart. They saw effort as a good thing, a virtue, the path to getting better.
Okay, this should be a real aha moment for everyone listening. Your belief about your own ability to grow, it's not just a nice idea.
Not at all. It directly affects how your brain works when things get tough and ultimately your ability to learn and achieve.
And the best part, you can choose to cultivate this mindset. It's not fixed either.
Exactly. You can start working on it today.
Okay, so we've talked about grit, about mindset. Let's go deeper now into the springs of motivation itself. What really drives us?
Yeah, let's look at self-determination theory, or SDT. This comes from Edward Deci and Richard Ryan. Their focus is on authentic motivation.
Authentic motivation, what do they mean by that versus, I guess, inauthentic?
Well, they talk about authentic or intrinsic motivation as being self-authored or endorsed. It's when you do something because you find it inherently interesting, satisfying, valuable.
It comes from within.
Right. And when you're intrinsically motivated, the research shows you experience more interest, excitement, and confidence.
Okay.
And that translates into better performance, more persistence, more creativity, but also just feeling better overall. Higher vitality, self-esteem, well-being.
So what's the flip side? Extrinsic motivation.
Right. Being externally controlled, doing something just to get a reward or avoid a punishment or meet someone else's expectations.
And the key finding is,
even if you feel competent doing that task, if the motivation is purely external, you just don't get those same deep benefits. Not the enhanced well-being, not the same level of sustained engagement.
so short-term compliance maybe, but not long-term thriving.
That's a good way to put it. And SDT identifies 3 fundamental psychological needs that drive this authentic motivation. They say these are innate, essential, and universal.
Innate, essential, universal. Okay, what are they?
First, competence. The need to feel effective, to feel like you can actually interact with your world successfully and achieve things.
Makes sense. Feeling capable.
Second, autonomy. This is the need to feel like you're the driver of your own actions, volitional, self-initiating, not just a puppet controlled by external forces.
And then you have choice and control.
Exactly. And third, relatedness. The need to feel connected to other people, to care for others and feel cared for by them, belonging.
Competence, autonomy, relatedness. They
And
are easy to remember.
yeah. And the crucial point is, you need all 3. They're interdependent.
The source uses a strong analogy.
Right. Individuals cannot thrive without satisfying all of them, any more than people can thrive with water but not food. You can't trade one for another.
And they warn about situations where these needs conflict.
Yes, like if a child feels they have to give up their autonomy, their sense of choice, just to feel loved or accepted by their parents. That sets up conditions for, well, alienation and psychological distress.
You can see how that would create deep internal conflict.
Absolutely. So, for you listening, this framework is really useful. If you're feeling unmotivated, stuck, maybe ask yourself, is one of these core needs, competence, autonomy, relatedness, being unmet right now?
Understanding them helps you seek out situations, activities, relationships that actually nourish these needs.
Which, in turn, fuels that deeper, more authentic, and sustainable motivation from within.
This is powerful stuff. We have grit, mindset, these core needs. How do we translate this into actually doing things? Let's talk about engineering your success.
Right. This brings us to the practical side, goal setting, drawing heavily from Locke and Latham's goal-setting theory.
And one of the big findings there is about the kind of goals we set, isn't it?
Definitely. The research consistently shows that setting specific, difficult goals leads to higher performance than just vaguely telling people, do your best.
Why is do your best not effective?
Because it's fuzzy. Do your best means different things to different people on different days. It has, as the source says, no external referent. A specific, difficult goal gives you a clear target to aim for.
A bullseye. And another key ingredient here is belief, right? Self-efficacy.
Yes, absolutely critical. Self-efficacy isn't just general confidence, it's your belief in your ability to succeed at a specific task. Task-specific confidence.
And how does that play into goals?
Well, people with high self-efficacy, they naturally set higher goals for themselves. They're more committed to the goals they're given, they find and use better strategies, and they handle negative feedback more constructively.
It creates this positive upward spiral.
Exactly. And importantly, you can build self-efficacy. It's not fixed.
How? What do the sources say?
Leaders, and this includes you managing yourself, can boost it through a few key things. 1, adequate training to increase mastery. Just getting better at the skill builds confidence.
Practice makes perfect, or at least more confident.
Right. 2, role modeling. Seeing people similar to you succeed makes you think, hey, maybe I can do that too.
Learning by example.
And 3, persuasive communication. Someone expressing genuine confidence that you can attain the goal. Encouragement matters.
So you set a specific, difficult goal, you build your belief you can hit it. What else?
Feedback. It's absolutely essential, like fuel for the goal engine.
You need to know how you're doing.
Precisely. The source says people need summary feedback that reveals progress in relation to their goals. Without feedback, you can't adjust your strategy, you don't know if you're getting closer, you can't celebrate milestones.
And there's this interesting idea about goals being discrepancy creating.
Yeah, I love that. It means once you achieve a goal you've been working towards, what do you usually do?
You set a new, probably higher goal.
Exactly. You create a new discrepancy between where you are and where you want to be. You naturally push yourself further.
It's a continuous cycle of striving.
Right. And the type of goal also matters, especially for complex tasks.
How so?
Well, for something really complex, just setting a high-performance goal right away might actually create anxiety and shut down learning.
Okay, so what's better?
Often, it's setting specific, challenging learning goals. Like, my goal is to discover 3 different strategies for solving this type of problem. It focuses you on the process of mastery.
Focus on learning, not just the outcome. And breaking things down helps, too.
Definitely. Using proximal goals, short-term milestones, makes complex, long-term objectives feel much less daunting and more manageable.
This all ties together into something the source has called the high-performance cycle. Can you walk us through that?
Sure, it's this loop. High goals lead to high performance. High performance leads to rewards, could be recognition, promotion, just personal satisfaction. Those rewards then boost your satisfaction and your self-efficacy, your belief you can tackle future challenges, which, in turn, leads you to set even higher goals next time.
So it feeds itself. High performance leads to satisfaction, which fuels more high goals.
Exactly. And here's the paradox they point out. People with high goals often produce more because they're dissatisfied with less. That dissatisfaction is actually a driver.
So satisfaction isn't the cause of high performance, it's more like a result.
Largely, yes. The drive comes from aiming high.
Okay, so this whole section gives you, the listener, a practical toolkit.
Absolutely. You now know how to set goals that work, how to build that crucial self-belief, and how to use feedback to keep improving. It's a cycle you can create in any part of your life.
All right, let's bring this home. We've got the psychology, the motivation, the goal setting. How do we actually cultivate this stuff? Let's talk practical interventions and creating the right environments.
Yes, moving from theory to practice. Because the good news is these psychological insights lead to real, actionable strategies, things you can do.
Like teaching the growth mindset directly. Does that work?
It really seems to. There's this example of an online program called Brainology. They taught inner-city 7th graders about how the brain grows stronger when you challenge it, like a muscle.
Learning about neuroplasticity.
Exactly. And the result, a sharp rebound in math performance for those kids.
Wow. And you mentioned student quotes earlier.
Yeah, they're powerful. Kids saying things like, I used to give up easily and now I keep on trying. Or picturing their neurons making connections when they're stuck on a problem. That's a real shift in thinking.
That's incredible. And it works for older students, too.
Apparently so. College students who first learned about growth mindset and then taught it to younger students actually saw their own GPAs improve. And they valued academics more.
Teaching is learning, right?
Seems so. And beyond mindset, fostering a sense of belonging is huge.
That relatedness need we talked about.
Precisely. Simple interventions can make a big difference, like telling college students, especially maybe those from underrepresented groups, that almost everyone worries about fitting in at first, but it gets better.
Normalizing the struggle.
Right. That simple message significantly helped African-American college students, cutting the achievement gap by over 50% in one study over 3 years.
Just by addressing belonging. That's amazing.
And things like values affirmation, having students reflect on what's truly important to them, helped buffer stress and improve grades for students facing negative stereotypes. It anchors them in their identity.
What about looking forward? Does visualizing the future help?
It seems to. Exercises where students imagine their desired future self, think about potential obstacles, and plan how to overcome them. For low-income minority 8th graders, this led to fewer absences, less disruption in class, and significantly higher grades. It gives them a clear why and a how.
A personal roadmap.
Yeah. And then there's just teaching practical self-regulation skills.
Like what?
There's a student success skills program mentioned. It teaches goal setting, progress monitoring, but also stress management, like deep breathing, visualizing a safe place, basic coping skills.
And did that make a difference?
Yes. Higher state test scores, and the effects were still there 2 years after the program ended, so these skills stick.
So it's not just about mindset, it's also about concrete skills and feeling like you belong.
Exactly. Which leads to the broader point. It's not just individual interventions. The environment matters hugely. Supportive environments nurture these qualities.
What do good schools or good teachers do? The sources mention 3 things.
Right. First, challenge. They set high standards. They don't lower the bar based on presumed limitations.
They believe students can reach it.
Yes, and they convey that message. More effort leads to more competence. Think of Jaime Escalante teaching calculus in East LA. Or schools like St. Mel in Chicago with its 100% college acceptance rate. High expectations.
Okay, challenge. What's second?
Scaffolding. Providing support to reach those high standards. Not just giving answers, but providing help along the way.
Like training wheels.
Kind of.
Yeah.
It includes cognitive support, good feedback, giving hints, asking guiding questions. Expert tutors apparently mostly ask questions over 90% of the time.
Making the student think.
Right. And it also includes motivational support, encouraging autonomy, intrinsic motivation. The way feedback is given matters too.
How so?
Simple positive feedback like, you did well, boosts motivation. But adding a controlling tone, like you did well as you should, actually undermines it. It kills the autonomy vibe.
Tone matters. Okay, challenge, scaffolding. What's the third element?
Belonging. Creating that sense of fellowship with peers and teachers, that connection piece again.
It keeps coming back.
Because it's fundamental. The source highlights that school connectedness is one of the most powerful protective factors against basically all forms of adolescent problems.
Feeling connected protects you.
Yes. Good teachers create this sense of community, authoritative but caring. And things like group learning methods, like KIPP School's motto, team beats individual, build that shared identity and cooperation.
We achieve more together.
Absolutely. So, the big picture for you. These strategies aren't just for schools. You can apply them to your own learning, your work, your teams.
You can actively look for or even help create environments that foster grit, that encourage a growth mindset, that meet those core needs for competence, autonomy, and relatedness.
And that support your journey towards meaningful goals. It's about shaping your context.
So wrapping this deep dive up, what's the core message we want people to take away?
I think it's this. Success isn't some fixed thing determined by the talent you were born with.
Right. It's a dynamic journey.
Exactly. Fueled by your mindset, understanding what truly motivates you, and your ability to set and doggedly pursue goals that matter to you. Using that sustained effort.
It's about tapping into that natural human drive towards growth, towards getting better, towards connecting.
And maybe a final thought to leave people with. Remember that finding about grit and IQ. That sometimes people who feel less bright compensate by working harder and with more determination.
Yeah.
Well, imagine what's possible when you, regardless of where you feel you're starting from, intentionally apply these insights. When you cultivate grit, adopt a growth mindset, set those powerful goals.
The potential is huge. The source mentions having the power to program and reprogram your subconscious. Choose your goals, focus on what matters, guide your actions.
Its power really is within you.
So maybe a reflection for everyone listening. What's a long-term goal you've been putting off? Or where could you apply a growth mindset, maybe even starting today?
Remember, your capacity for achievement, your potential for growth, it's probably far greater than you realize. It's just waiting for you to unleash it.